What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Coffee Pod. My name is chishazed.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
Got a question for you guys, to my fellas out here who are dating or plan to date for the purpose of raising a family. How much do you think about the importance of making sure you lock down a chick who can still have children? And of course, I'm not talking about a woman who can't have children due to health complications. No, I'm talking about somebody who just didn't prioritize it. How much do you think about that? We're going to start out with this video here that I thought was pretty interesting because a lot of this stuff isn't really talked about much, because we know after about 35, women usually have more risks when it comes to pregnancies. And this is something a lot of guys need to think about. And more importantly, men, because I just don't think women today take that seriously. They don't really, I hate to say this, a lot of chicks think that they could just go and freeze their eggs and things are going to work out, but they do not take that part of their life seriously at all. You know, don't drink coffee, all that. Case in point, a woman like this.
So I'm 32 and childless by choice. My grandmother had her first child at the age of 31 or 32 and had her last born child when she was 45, between 45 and 47. She passed away in 2021 or 2020 when she was 99, and her last born was 51 or 52. And I share this to say that people like to use age as a way to shame women or to push us into having kids and telling us that, hey, you know, time is ticking away. And let me tell you something, you are not God. God can decide or will decide when I will have a child and when other women will have children. That's number one. Number two.
Okay, so I thought her perspective was pretty unique, seeing as how this chick is married, but is still pushing the whole women get to decide when they want to have children. Yes, true. And God will be there for you, but God does not do what we can do for ourselves. And one of those things is logically look at situations and say, you know what, I think I need to capitalize on my fertility. I just don't think a lot of women take that area of their life really that seriously. Granted, if you're married like this woman, then you have time because you actually have a prospect. But a lot of chicks in these situations where they're taking time of prioritizing their education, you know, that boss babe mentality before family, and then before they realize it, it's too late and they're in a very bad situation. Let's keep listening.
My grandmother would always tells me and all of my cousins that we should take our time. She would always tell us that when she was alive, and her life was a testament of that. And I guess I'm sharing this to say, stop trying to fearmonger women to have children when they're younger, number one. Number two, you don't know the steps and the methods that I am using to make sure that I have kids and that I'm able to preserve, my eggs. And then number three, you are not God. We have seen so many stories where women have been trying to have kids in their 20s and 30s, and then God decides, you know what, the perfect time for you to have a child is in your 40s or 50s. We've seen all of those stories, so.
All right, so I'm going to stop it right there. She goes on to talk about how it's possible to have kids in your 50s and 40s. But again, the exception does not make the rule. And it's really dangerous that a lot of women out here, and even some mad women, Exhibit A like this woman, is out here encouraging other women who are probably not married, they're single, that, hey, take your time. You don't have to worry about anything. Rely on a miracle from God. And my response to that is, well, why don't you just avoid that problem? Then the other thing she said is freeze your eggs, which is what I really want to focus on here. That whole, I have other measures that I'm taking to protect myself. And the truth is that freezing your eggs is not a fail-proof plan. It's expensive and doesn't work out the way a lot of people think it does. You have people like Ebony K. Williams championing this term of single mother by choice, when really they're setting a lot of these chicks up for a lot of debt and disappointment. Check it out.
Might have seen this Bloomberg cover from 2014 go around X. And for some background, the woman on the cover is Brigitte Adams. And back in 2014, when they released this issue, she was part of this article celebrating women for freezing their eggs and focusing on their careers as she had done. And the article boasted about women kissing the mommy track goodbye and being able to truly have it all. I think that was the subtitle of the article. But this did not work out exactly as Brigitte and many other women had hoped. Because 10 years later, the Washington Post came back around to do an update about Brigitte specifically. And they wrote, Adams remembers feeling a wonderful sense of freedom after she froze her eggs in her late 30s, despite the $19,000 cost. Her plan was to work a few more years, find a great guy to marry, and still have a house full of her own children. But things didn't work out the way that she hoped. But then, guys, when this happened, when she ultimately decided to retrieve the eggs, unfreeze them, and try to get pregnant, none of them survived. And Washington Post wrote about this, saying 2 eggs failed to survive the thawing process, 3 more failed to fertilize, and that left 6 embryos, of which 5 appeared to be abnormal. That one last egg was implanted in her uterus, and on the morning of March 7th, she got the devastating news that it too had failed.
All of them failed.
Adams was not pregnant, and her chances of carrying her genetic child had just dropped to near 0. She remembers screaming like a wild animal, throwing books, papers, her laptop, and collapsing to the ground. Now, I have read this quote maybe 50 times now, because every couple of months it circulates online, and I get chills every single time that I read it, because this is a primal response. Like, it is a biological response. This woman screaming like a wild animal because she was lied to by the media, by academics, and by scientists who told her that she could wait, she could have it all. No mommy track, no anything. She could truly have it all. That putting her career first was not a problem, that she would be happy doing this. But obviously, like in Brigitte's case, that does not always work out. And women should know this. It should not be presented to them as a foolproof insurance policy that is guaranteed to work once they decide that their career is done, they're successful enough, and they're ready to have kids.
Right.
It just does not work like that. Even celebrities as big as the Kardashians have spoken out about their difficult experiences with egg freezing versus what they assumed it would be. Just watch this.
I had 7 frozen eggs from years ago before Travis. When I was 38 or 39, everyone was like pushing me to do that. And most of mine didn't survive the thaw because eggs are one cell, and then none of them made it to an embryo. The freezing of the eggs isn't guaranteed. And I think that that's like a misunderstanding, is like people do it thinking that it's like a safety net.
Right,
and then
right.
it's not.
I mean, this is just like a perfect example. Like, these women dated a bunch of guys, they put their careers first, they froze their eggs, and none of them survived. It is an utter lie, and they do not tell women this. And again, I'm not saying that this is some objectively terrible thing for women to do, and I, don't understand why women have to do this in some cases, because I get it, I understand, and it's great that this science does exist in those cases, but to push this as a fix-all solution for all women so that they can pursue their careers and live their lives in their 20s and 30s, and then villainizing motherhood is what I have a problem with.
All right, guys, there you go. This is important. This is important stuff. And it's especially important for you as a man to understand this, because I think social media and the media in general does a good job at forcing tea down women's throats, hypnotizing them to believe a lot of falsehoods like this. Everything will be okay. Put your career first, etc. And you kind of have to do your work as the man if you see yourself as somebody who wants a child later on in life. If you're in a situation where a woman may be approaching that age where it may be challenging for her to have children, you got to be the one who's taking it this seriously, because you can't be assured that the chick you meet won't have been lied to about just how much time she has to start building her family and having children. And of course, more women need to drink the coffee, but they think they're too good for a coffee shop.
You think you're better than everybody in a coffee shop?
Let's check out some of these comments and see what else people have to say. First comment here says, didn't anyone tell them not to put all their eggs in one basket? This commenter says. Another woman here says, I did the reverse. I had my kids at 21 and 23. I'm 45 now and have a thriving career. Just takes multitasking. Was it easy? No, but easier than loss. There you go. Somebody else here says, my wife hit 27 and realized no career would fulfill her as much as having kids and taking care of our home. Everyone's different. Another woman here says, had my 2 at 24 and 26, 39 now. All my friends have infants. My oldest is almost done with high school. My career is thriving. I guess the bright side of her friends having infants is at least they were still able to have kids, because that's the main focus of this conversation. Here's another comment that says, people need to be told they can't have it all. There's no best time to tell someone, but it's something everyone needs to hear before adulthood. Yes, they need to drink that coffee. Somebody else here says, I would give my kidney to be a stay-at-home mom. Wow. Being a mom is the most fulfilling job of any. What's crazy is that women read other women who have this sentiment towards marriage, and they are triggered. They can't stand women who talk like this. You want to be a mother? You think that's your purpose on this earth? Oh, they want these women gone. Here's another comment that says, this is so sad. I would be devastated. I'm already worried. I'm getting past my time to have my own babies. I'm 36. Somebody else here says, I never want children, but I can't imagine how devastating it must be to watch your own children and now not being able to when she thought she could. Yeah. It's unfortunate. Think of the pain for somebody who wants children as a man. It would be highly unfortunate for myself if for some reason I found out that that wasn't possible. But I'm imagining this from a woman's perspective. Extremely devastating. Another comment here says, I finally found the right man at 44 and was also told my chances of conceiving naturally were near zero, but I was able to have 2 kids at 45 and 47. Now, this is exactly how women think, right? Is they'll look at this and say, okay, here is the exception. I'm going to bank my entire life on this. Another person here says, I'm 28, just had my first kid with my husband, and it's put everything in perspective for me. Nothing else matters. I don't have children right now, but I can imagine that children are one of those things that sort of introduce like a paradigm shift to your life. And it would suck to have that paradigm shift of, oh man, I wish I could have children. And you realize that's what you truly wanted, but you were following this false rhetoric. Here's another comment that says, I have 2 kids, but unlike you, they aren't the center of my life. And so we've got a chick here who's hating, and somebody responded back to that woman and says, LOL, single mom of 2 with 2 different baby daddies, chiming in because she did it all wrong, trying to hate. Yeah. Here's somebody else who says, oh my gosh, I feel so bad. She didn't know what she was getting into. Here's another comment from somebody else with the laughing emojis. The wall is undefeated. And somebody else who says, sometimes you have to choose. Make sure you will be happy with what you decide. And somebody else here says, aren't the eggs already kind of, for the lack of better term, stale after your late 30s? It seems kind of inevitable that they'd have issues. So this guy's like, hey, you're getting to about your 40s. Isn't that the problem? Another woman here says, I'm 43 and pregnant and all my testing is good. In parentheses, had my others at 26 and 32. 18 likes on that one. Of course, there are chicks who are hopeful and they're crossing their fingers and they like the post. Another guy here responded back to that woman and says, that's nice, but statistically, this is extremely rare. Now, here's where things go left because they don't believe in stats. Somebody else here says, it is not extremely rare, LOL. Guys, the delusion is real. She goes on to say, egg quality and fertility go down a little bit every year after 35, but it's far from rare. Somebody else here responded back. This turned into an argument in a thread. This person says, it definitely drastically drops. By 40, you only have 5% chance monthly of naturally getting pregnant. That sounds like a pretty drastic drop to me. And somebody else here says, nearly 4% of all newborn babies are born to women 40 and older. It's not common for women to have kids at 40 plus. And we're going to talk to our AI barista, Miss Coffee, and get her perspective on this topic. Real quick, Miss Coffee, what are the chances of a woman getting pregnant after the age 40? She's taking her time. Sometimes she's a little bit shy. All right, where are you at, lady?
The chances of a woman getting pregnant after the age of 40 can vary depending on several factors, including her overall health, reproductive history, and lifestyle. Here are some key points to consider. Decreased fertility. As women age, their fertility naturally declines. By the age of 40, the number of eggs in the ovaries decreases significantly, which can make it harder to conceive. Success rates. Fertility specialists quote approximately a 44% chance of pregnancy within 1 year for women aged 40. However, this percentage may vary among individuals and may require medical assistance in some cases. 2. Health and lifestyle. Maintaining good overall health, managing chronic conditions, and adopting a healthy lifestyle can positively impact a woman's chances of getting pregnant after 40. Medical assistance. Some women may require fertility treatments such as in vitro fertilization, IVF, or other assisted reproductive technologies to improve their chances of conceiving after 40. 4.
All right, there we go. Thank you, Miss Coffee. So one thing is clear for sure that was said there. By the age 40, the number of eggs in the ovaries decrease significantly. So it's a significant decrease. And she says it's based on the health of the woman, the most unhealthy. And we are living in America, if not the most unhealthy nations in the West. Hey guys, of course, I'm curious to know, what do you think? Comment down below. I appreciate you for checking out yet another episode of The Coffee Pod. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.